my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in today's video I have a new tech video for you, and we're going to have a closer look at a private and secure messaging app which is called Session. Now you can download Session on your phone or desktop depending also on your preference, and the way Session works is also that you do not need to enter any private details of yours into it to also make it work. So you need no phone number, no email address, no name, no birthday whatsoever to also use this application. And that's why I truly love it, mainly also because I love to travel around the world. And one thing that I usually really hate and always have troubles with is that I have to change my phone number depending also on the country I'm currently visiting. And so with Session, this is for sure not the case anymore because it works differently and I don't need to also connect it with a phone number or even change it to a new phone number. And so it is also at the same time private and secure. It also has encrypted messages, plus it is also linked to a cryptocurrency coin, which is called Oxen, and it's also therefore decentralized and open source. Now with the decentralized part, it's similar to Bitcoin. No one can shut it down, no one can take control over it, but the difference is Session in this specific case, or Oxen, is also private. And so the way you can also download it is either also from your Apple or Play Store, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. Therefore, I recommend also getting it from their website. And I click now on the Android, since that's also the software I'm using. And now it's going to lead you to Google Play, which is now still working. And then you can also click on Install. Now, while it's also going to install it now on my phone, I have already downloaded Session on the other phone so that I can also show you a real example on how you can use it. Meaning how you can use it as well as a friend of yours, and how you can also exchange your Session ID, which I will get in a moment. So once you have also installed it, click on Open. Now it's going to ask you if you want to create a Session ID or if you want to continue with your Session ID that you're already having. But since you're new to it, you're going to click on Create Session ID. So those are basically now random numbers and letters that it has created for you, and that's your Session ID, meaning that's your phone number, but it's not connected to you. That's the difference. Usually you have to enter your phone number into the application or into the system, but in this case, those are random letters and numbers. This now belongs to you. That's your ID. And that's also what you're going to send your friends or give to your friends whatsoever if you want to stay in contact with them. So once you know it, you had a look at it, you may want to already copy it and send it to some friends, but then you can also click on Continue. Now it's going to ask you for a display name. Now this doesn't have to be your real name. It can, depends also on your preference or how you also want to use it, but you can also use just a random username, letters, or like numbers whatsoever. And I'm going to call myself now user, since that's my example phone. And so I'm going to click on Continue. That was now the display name that others also will see. And then they also will ask you about the notifications, how you want to receive them. So the fast mode, which they also recommend, is basically also a way on how they're going to also sometimes get in connection with the Google notification servers to also get to know if you have any new messages. This is what usually happens. And then you will see a pop-up message right here when someone has written you a message. However, since it is also connected to the Google's notification servers, depending also on how you want to use Session, this may already be a risk. And so therefore they have two options. So this one basically works automatically. If someone is going to send you a message, you also will see a notification immediately. However, with the slow mode, this may not be the case, where you also have to check your messages from time to time to see if someone has written you a message. They do also run in the background from time to time to also see if you get any notifications, then it also will pop up, but it may not be as immediate than the fast mode. But that's your preference. I mean, if you don't mind just clicking sometimes onto Session to see if someone has written you a message, then go with the slow mode. It won't change it. It's just more secure and also still private. And then if you have selected your mode that you also want to choose, click on Continue. So now it tells you that you're almost finished and that you also click on continue. So if you're going to click on continue, it's basically going to show you your recovery phrase. Well, if you're in the crypto space, you may already know what a recovery phrase is. If not, if you're new to it, let me explain it to you. Now, since you have no details, like you haven't used like your phone number, your email address, your birthday, whatsoever, that may also be sometimes connected with other messaging apps. In this case, the messaging app just gave you a random ID. That's yours. However, if you are now losing your phone or you want to switch your phone to a new one, and you also want to still keep your session ID, you have to get the recovery phrase. Now, what's the recovery phrase? Now you just can see green lines, but if you're going to click on it, it also will give you some random words. Write those words down. It tells you right here copy, which you can do and then print it out. If you have like a bad handwriting, that's totally understandable. But please do not save those words on your phone or desktop if you're really worried about your privacy and security of the messaging app. Store it somewhere where you also know that you have those words in that little box or little booklet whatsoever. Write them down or have a copy in it as well. Just make sure that you also have the exact words with no mistakes, with no spelling mistakes, in the right order, also written down. Because now if you, for example, lose your phone or you want to install the messaging app onto a new phone, it's going to ask you for the recovery phrase, and that's what you have to enter. That's basically kind of like your backup. You need to have those words in the right order and also without mistakes to have your backup again. It's like your key to also enter your house. That's how you can remember it. And so once you have written it down, or once you have also a copy of it and you have it stored somewhere securely, then you can move on. And now it also tells you that you now have secured your account with the recovery phrase. And now you can also get started and use session. Okay, so right here, since I have no contacts on it yet, it tells you start a session. So you can click on it. And it's basically going to ask you to either enter the session ID or scan the QR code. Now let me show you again how you can use it, because this is why I have my second phone right here, where I have already downloaded the app. So if your friend, for example, has also now downloaded the app, has also created a session ID, then you can also click on this little icon right here. And that's basically also my session ID of my second phone. And as I told you already right here, that's the session ID that I just currently created. So you have two different session IDs. Those are two different phones, which could be, this could be my session ID, this could be your session ID, like you're giving it to a friend. So the way that you can do it is either by copying it and sending it to your friend, or you can also share it right here, or you have also the QR code. Now, how can you do this? Well, it's going to ask you to start a session. So either enter your session ID, this would be the numbers and letters which you can see right here, or scan the QR code. So the scan the QR code would be right here on the top. This would be your QR code to also get the session ID. So you could either also scan it, or you could also go ahead and basically paste it, which is also the same one. So you have here the same session ID. So once you have exchanged the session ID of yours and your friends' ones, then you can also start chatting. So once you have entered it or you have scanned the QR code, it's basically the same, then you're going to click on next. Okay, now I'm going to write a message. And here you can see that the other phone has received my message. And this is also how you can use the chat. And now it's like a random chat where you can also chat with your friends, but the major difference is that it is private, it is secure, and you have no private details connected with with the session ID that you're just using. So there's no phone number connected, no email address, no birthday whatsoever. It's just like the random numbers that you have to give your friends to also make sure that you're able to chat with them. And now your friend can be in Europe and you can be in America, And as long as the session ID stays the same, you can just randomly write them. All what you need is basically the internet. And that's basically it. And that's what I truly love about Session. Because I travel a lot, I hate when I have to update my number to a new messaging app or to the current messaging app that I'm using, because then I'm sometimes also losing all my messages or something went wrong. I have this happened already so many times. And therefore, when just using Session for it and having no phone number connected to it, it still works. All what you need is the internet, which nowadays is broadly available to many people. So this is also why I recommend also getting Session if you're caring about your privacy, if you don't want to connect it with a phone number, because sometimes if you don't have a phone number, most of the time you aren't even able to also use a messaging app. So that's also a great advice that I can give you, that if you want to use a messaging app, doesn't matter where you are in the world, all what you need is internet and get the session ID, and that's basically it, which you have already in the application itself. And so that's also how you can set up Session and also how you can use Session without a phone number, which also makes it so secure, private, and very, very special. Now, I do also hope that you enjoyed this video and that you also find it helpful and also know how you can set it up and use it. And if you like this video, please also don't forget to give the thumbs up as well as share it. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!